Please be seated. As we move through this great season of feast, I would rather say, preparing ourselves to celebrate the great passion and the crucifixion and the resurrection, we listen to different gospel narratives which surrounded the events that surrounded these events that we are celebrating. What led to crucifixion, what was happening behind the scenes. Of course, it is only one version of the story. It was how disciples of Jesus perceived it. And also it is how they had it in their memory after several decades. Many of the gospel narratives came into existence only decades after the event took place. So we have to remember that all this had some memory issues, how these disciples perceived these events. It was not a mere narration of events. It was not a mere recording of events as they saw it, but it was more like it was a record of events as they understood it. It is their own understanding of history. And today we listen to the gospel according to St. John. And we all grew up, or even now many of us think of the Jewish high priest as a very cruel person, as a person who masterminded this whole crucifixion. So the spilling of the blood of the innocent. And also, we think that he was jealous of Jesus Christ. They were worried about his popularity. We sometimes think this was more like a popularity contest between the rabbis. But when we look into this gospel narrative, we see a very worried high priest. He was not worried about the popularity of Jesus. He was not worried about the teaching itself as it is. But he was worried about his people. He was worried about the Jewish nation, which in a way he had a responsibility to protect. That's why that makes him wonder, what are we going to do? If this is going on the way as things are moving, we are certain that the Romans are going to come and destroy us. He says that you do not understand that it is better for you to have one man die. So he is thinking in terms of what is the modern American jargon, what is the casualty of war? Whenever American military attacks somebody, not only American military, any powerful nation when attacks, that's a casualty of war. When you end up bombing a wedding feast in Afghanistan, oh, that was an accident, that's a casualty of war. Or Indian army does something in Kashmir, oh, those things happen. Because somehow we think that it is okay to kill or destroy some for the sake of a larger group. So sometimes it could be preemptive move. Sometimes we can presume that somebody else is going to attack us, so we go and attack them first. That's they call it, first strike principle. So This is always there. So sometimes I feel that the high priest of the Jewish nation at that time, he was very seriously patriotic. He was not worried about Jesus as an individual itself. Because many of the historians are of the opinion that considering what was going on, Jesus was not that kind of a forceful presence at that time. They would not have minded him if he was walking around in the hill countries of Judea. But when he makes his entry into Jerusalem, when he makes his presence known, when he claims his throne as a Messiah, then it becomes an issue. And this will provoke us to think about ourselves, about our own attitudes to several things. Whether it is our stand on national issues, whether it is about our stand on church issues, and even on our own personal belief systems. Do we think it is okay to kill or destroy few or one for the sake of a bigger one? And there was a big debate about a cross being installed about Auschwitz, the Holocaust place. And the Jewish people felt that it was a belittling of their suffering, because cross symbolizes a glorified suffering. They were saying what we suffered in Holocaust was not a glorified suffering. It was a devilish suffering. So sometimes we think as an afterthought, the devilish suffering which could have been prevented, which could have been avoided, and we will try to glorify it by placing a cross over it. But remember, it cannot be glorified. We will be ending up desecrating the cross itself by trying to glorify the meaningless suffering or the suffering that caused by evil. So where are we? As we go through this Holy Week, let that be a question in our minds. Are we with the high priest who think that this guy should be killed? He is innocent, he is a nice person, but still it may be better for us to kill him. Are we seeking the blood of the innocent people? Where do we stand on justice issues? Where do we, because we might feel, oh, it's people suffering in Guatemala, they are so remote. Or people suffering in somewhere else, whether it is immigrant issues, whether it is labor issues within our neighborhoods. We have to remember, in all this, we have a say and we have to have a stand. At least we should be able to pray for those people who are suffering. But our prayer shouldn't be a mere lip service, but it should be something that will lead to a real change in our hearts. May God bless you. Thank you.